Hello and welcome to an afternoon session where I'll pitch to brands. So if there's any brands watching or any one of my colleagues or anyone in the marketing industry, either in customer data, customer relationship, customer marketing, then please pay attention and have a look at what we have to offer you in our customer pitch for Profila. So what is Profila? First of all, a profile, as we know, according to Cambridge, is a short description of somebody's life, their character, their work, summarized in a profile. A profiler is exactly the same. It is a description of somebody's life, their character, their work, but that they own. And that is what we believe profiler will become in the future, is a noun that you'll use like you use Google to say, if you want to get to know me, have a look at my profiler. So what is the problem that we're facing in the industry when it comes to marketing? Everyone's data is dirty. And we say this without hesitation because most of the data that brands are using is based on surveillance and does not contain accurate information. And statistically, a lot of data that is collected goes stale and is out of date and is inaccurate, even after 3 months of sitting in an old legacy CRM. Yet brands are spending billions. It's a healthy economy, the advertising industry. If you look at Facebook, if you look at Instagram and Google, there is a lot of money being spent to try and attract attention. And brands are obsessed with attention on how do I tell the world that my company exists. So we do believe that there is a challenge that companies have to face, is that they have the megaphone out, they're calling out to everyone in the world, but they are using bad data. And with the expectation that only a few will actually buy at the end. And we believe that many are being scammed in the industry. So if you're an owner of a marketing budget, pay attention, because 56% of the impressions that you're paying for are never seen by customers. And this is based on recent research, which is a very surprising statistic that almost half of your ad spend is not seen at all. 0.66% is the percentage of social media's average ad click-through per quarter in 2024. That comes direct from Statista and the latest research. I've been in the industry on advertising for 5+ years, but have a lot of good advisors who've been in the industry for decades. And for some reason, this industry accepts that very low conversion, 0.66% as an ad click-through in an industry that has 900 or close to $900 billion of ad spend. So those first two are quite alarming. 56% of your impressions, marketeers, are not seen, 0.66, and sometimes higher, fairly, conversion rates, but still only within single digits and low teens, and people are happy. We don't understand that. $172 billion of ad fraud by 2028. That's a big issue that I think a lot of people in the market do not understand where it is coming from. There are some people that have been working on this for decades to try and iron out the ad fraud. However, it still happens every single year. And the last one is close to profilers' hearts, and the statistic is higher or lower in certain other countries around the world. But 77% of Americans have little or no trust in the leaders of social media when it comes to looking after their data. So we have an issue. One is the data is dirty, and two, the processes that marketeers are using are flawed. Okay, and we're being scammed as an industry, if you're in the advertising or data industry, out of a lot of money. So much of that cash is being wasted. Okay, and this is where it is going. Your customer receives nothing. However, your customer's data and attention is the unpaid product. Everyone knows this, and that's what everybody is after. They're after customer data, and they're after attention. We believe, and we strongly believe, that there are way too many surveillance mechanisms out there that are being paid for to track people all across the internet. There are too many data brokers hoarding and siphoning data and monetizing that. Very large institutions and smaller ones around the world. monetizing every single data set and movement that you make. Way too many CRMs and CDPs. If you look at the options out there in the market, every company has one of these products now, yet they're filled with bad, dirty data. And anybody who's in the industry will understand that 30% of that data may be useful, but it goes out of date unless it is maintained and updated. Hence, the desire to continuously surveil and understand, what is my customer doing? What are they thinking? And there are too many advertising platforms. So we have this layer upon layer upon layer of spend in an industry which is quite simply trying to ask one question: who are you? What do you want? And do you want to buy it from me? So what is your intent? We believe that it's time to make radical changes in the industry. It's time to cut out cost and risk by cutting out these middle players who add very little value at the end of the day. In a market where customers are very mature, where they understand what they want and they're technically empowered, we believe you can replace these systems, these outdated surveillance-based systems, with a single customer-managed personal media platform. And yes, we're flipping the whole business model around to put your customer in control of their data and provide it to you and your business in a just-in-time basis. Accurate, with full of intent, and also based on their preferences. It's an opportunity for many brands to have a relook and say, where can I cut out the fat? Where can I optimize my business? How can I trust a relationship with my customer? And how can I build a new relationship which doesn't rely on surveillance while cutting out costs and risk? We believe at Profila that you do deserve much better. Profila is leading a category of personal media management. We believe people have the capability, and we will empower them to be able to create the best profiler of themselves, to be able to manage their data, their preferences, and their time, and share with you as a brand, as a company, when they want to, the data that you need and the attention that you need to get 100x on your current click-through rates. That is the number one metric that brands obsess over, is how many eyeballs have seen my content and impressions. But the click-through rate is still dismally low. That means customers are not engaged. So let's not fool ourselves. Let's reduce the number of customers we're engaging with to those who actually want a relationship with my brand. And when they do, bring them to a safer place, which is Profila. Then we will be able to get closer to that milestone, that North Star of Profilas, which is 100% engagement. And we can do that by strongly aligning marketing to each individual customer's preferences. And all of that can be done without any compromise in their data privacy. And we'll show you how. So we want to be very clear. This is not a search platform. This is not a social media platform. This is a personal media platform. This is where individuals, customers, start taking control of their relationship with the brands that they want and need in their lives. And these are your best customers. If you're looking at the 80-20 model, or whichever way around, you cut and slice and dice your numbers, there is a segment of customers who like your brand and will remain loyal. What they will deliver to you in the future through a platform like Profila, and we will lead this category, is evergreen personal psychographic data, which is the goal for any industry. They will maintain this data and they will continuously tell you what they do and don't like. They will also give you context on the rest of their life without sacrificing their privacy or their identity. This also leads to giving accurate contact and content preferences. There is nothing worse than a brand trying to shove their content wherever I am. That's not your right anymore, and people are getting frustrated. When you're scrolling through media and you're looking for something which is meaningful to you, and the brands have got a strategy to be in every channel that you're in, it does not work, and it is a waste of time. I've been on social for several years, and I'm still seeing products that I bought years ago, and they're wasting money, and they're wasting my time. And that's the most important thing. We want also to encourage brands to focus on mindful attention. This vanity metric of tons and tons of impressions is not real. Engagement is real. If a customer really looks at my content, clicks through on my content, and actually reviews the product and offer that I have, because it is selective, that is real engagement and that is conversion. We also believe that customers, when empowered, will tell you when they're ready to buy, so that you don't have to waste too much marketing on them. You can rather do brand building, give them other content which makes them satisfied that you understand who they are as a customer. And what your brand needs to deliver to customers in the future is quite simple. We've got a platform where data is never sold. So in exchange for leasing the data and getting access to a customer's data, you can pay them a small amount of cash depending on what you believe their data is worth. We will not push any market rates on you. You work out your customer lifetime value, you work out your cost of acquisition, and you decide what is it worth for your customer to maintain a data set that you would like access to. In the future, you can also offer different discounts or loyalty programs in exchange for quality data into your platforms. And then what you need to do next is very unique. Don't deliver the same mass media social content that you're pushing out into those acquisition channels. Focus much more on mindful content that will convert an already interested customer into a loyal, long-time customer who will be there and who will purchase again and again and who will become an advocate. We also ask that you engage with the customer in a different way and give them exclusivity. Why would somebody come to a private place if they're going to get the same as everybody else on mass social media? There is a place where you want to build a relationship and take a customer to a quiet, private place. That place is Profila. And that we believe you can cultivate loyalty in a much more unique way, in a much more gratifying way for your customer. So how it works is, yes, there's a customer management environment within Profila, but it is self-managed. Every single individual of your customers gets invited to the platform. You empower them with a platform that is built for them, which protects their data. And we as Profila incentivize and teach them how to create and maintain a data set which is valuable to you, the brand. So we take out a lot of the fuss within your organization to have to try and hunt this data. Your customer will give it to you if you have a product and service that they're interested in. And that, we believe, will also cut out a huge amount of wasted cash and spend on these overinflated CRM and CDPs that are eating away at your profitability in your company. Imagine all of your customers maintaining their own data set, which is available to you at all times when you have a relationship with them. So that is a fundamental shift away from every single brand having to have hundreds of copies of customer data in multiple different locations. It makes no sense. In an industry where we're looking at optimization, why should every brand have a copy of the same customer record? It does not need to work this way. Secondly, in the platform, we have advertising, of course. That is not all the platform can do. It is a data relationship environment where you can share content of any type. But for our first go-to-market, we believe that the lowest hanging fruit to be able to disrupt the industry is to steer brands' advertising spend away from the dirty incumbents, where social media has become a big challenge for brands as to do they want their content in a stream filled with something that they can't control. In Profila, people only see the brand's content that they've chosen to have a relationship with. So they are totally in control as to what piece of advertising they see in their feed. And if there's only one a week, they get to decide that. If there's 10 pieces of content from your brand a month, they get to decide that, so that they can control their mindful engagement with your brand. So we really believe that this will move conversion to totally new levels. Because yes, if I'm only seeing 3 or 4 pieces of content that I asked to see, I will engage with it. I will click on it, I will watch the content, and I will immerse myself in that piece of content from that brand, because I have decided to set aside time for it. And that is a totally different dynamic to somebody trying to force feed me to view content that I don't really want to see. And that is also an inopportune time. So we've looked at advertising, and we believe it will be hugely effective if you ask your customers, when can I talk to you? Same as when you walk into a real store and you say, I'm just browsing, or I would like to know more. That is how Profila will work on your customer's demand. And then thirdly, we're looking at how you convert in these environments. Because once you've got a customer face-to-face and you're talking to them and you're engaging privately, there is an opportunity to convert to sales, where we will help you to make a conscious conversion with a select group of customers so that they can really appreciate the mindful approach you've taken, the time you've given them in quality content to help them make a conscious decision to purchase. Not just an impulse, not just a very quick process, but a conscious decision. Then they won't feel any regret, and they will be your best customers going forward. So how does it work as far as the cost? We've reduced this significantly based on the industry. And there's a kicker. You pay your customer for their data and attention. Brave did a great job in starting this trend with the basic attention token, but we believe we can do a lot better. So you bid for access to your customers' data once they hit a profile that you like. So you don't pay for it if they connect to your brand and they don't have data that you want, or they're not a persona that fits into your company, then you don't need to access it. But if you want to access better psychographics for your perfect target customer on the platform, you bid for the data for a purpose and a duration and time. This takes away all of your privacy risks, and you are fully compliant. So you don't have data in your systems that can be hacked and then can be breached. And you also are fully compliant in the consent process in most countries around the world. Our legal team has taken care of that. And then secondly, you trade access to your customers' data for these privileges. That is a new method, I think, which will be much more incentivizing for a customer to say, we want you to do a bit of work by keeping our data up to date. So let us know what changes in your preferences are. Is it the summer different for you? Have you had a life change that we're not aware of? And remember, all of this data in Profila is shared anonymously unless the individual declares their personal data. So a brand can get access to the insights they need to be able to target. We've got some fantastic technology we use in the background. We'll cover that in other sessions, but we can guarantee the safety and anonymity of customer data unless they share under full consent. And then the data subscription fee that the platform charges is 20%. So 80% of whatever you've paid for the data goes to your customer because they did the work. Okay. And as our platform scales, we look at even reaching a stage where 99% of the payment goes directly to the consumer. But we need to scale and get our economies right so that we can have 10, 100 million people on this platform. Imagine only being able to access one customer record across 1,000 companies. That will save the economy a lot of cash when it comes to useless and duplicated systems. Secondly, on advertising, we believe that the impression is a false metric. So Profila impressions are free because, yes, it is B2B2C, and we're asking you initially to invite your customers to Profila. We have an acquisition strategy of our own where we will bring new people to the platform and they can vote for brands that they want to have a relationship with. But CPMs should be free, okay? Because if the content is filtered and fine-tuned enough based on very good preferences, then we believe that the click-through will happen. The user will engage with the content. And the CPC will be based initially on industry standards, but over time, as the conversion rate increases, we want you to do less ads, but higher quality, and then the CPC will adjust upwards accordingly. But the conversion will be worth it because the conversion numbers will be higher. Again, we take a 20% of that transaction. In future, only up to 4 or 5%, so that most of that money that you paid for advertising goes to your customer because it is their attention. So we're flipping the tables totally on a market which has really monopolized advertising and attention and have made a few people extremely wealthy. And we can here distribute wealth across your customer because they deserve to be compensated for their data and attention. No single individual makes a lot of money out of this, though. But as a collective, your customers will be engaged and they'll be rewarded through better quality products and services from your brand. And remember, 50 to 80% and even more over time of any ad or data spend goes to the customer. And we believe that that model will significantly disrupt the industry. So long as your customer gets what they want, we're happy. So where does Profiler actually fit in to the ecosystem? We want you to spend more money on retention and also from the interest funnel cycle. We can't compete with acquisition, and that's clear because we don't have 100 million people on the platform yet. So you do need to spend a little bit of your budget on the riskiest part of the market, which is just telling people that your brand exists. After that, though, and we've spoken to a lot of brands who still have channels with funnel qualifying leads that they get from open websites, from social media, is bring them to Profiler. Profiler is a lead funnel and will be able to help you understand this person was interested, bring them into a safe space where they feel safe to be able to tell you if they're actually going to buy something or not. They may just be browsing, and then you can profile them better in a safer and fully compliant way. And we see that IDER model, as I like to call it, extending from interest to decision to advocacy and retention. Profiler is the lifecycle relationship platform, not just the acquisition. Acquisition is sexy for sure, and that's where a lot of focus goes in. But we believe retention and this life cycle from interest through to retention, advocacy, decision, and that will always circle in a relationship with a customer is more important. That's where you share less content, but higher value, better thought out creative. We've spoken to a number of agencies, and yes, creatives, agency advertising is underappreciated. Now it's how many ads can I spit out to be able to attract as many eyeballs as possible. In this section where Profiler focuses, we want you to get back to a Mad Men type of principles, mad marketing, so that you can really engage with the customer through valuable content. And that's why we limit the feed. The customer limits the feed. There is no endless scroll concept on Profiler. If you've chosen to see 10 ads, you will only see 10 ads. If you only look at the platform twice a week because that's your frequency, that is good, because then when you do, you will engage with that customer and with that content. So how Profiler works is it also disrupts the data economy. If over time your customer is taking more and more control of their own data and maintaining their own data, you do not need these legacy systems anymore, or you need them less and less and less. And we will give you snapshots of the data. We'll give you the metadata so that you never lose the track record of that customer, even if they pull the permissions away from you, so that you can have a long-term healthy relationship based on the customer's consent and requirements. And that's some of the key messages. Profiler brings a lot of intrinsic value if you flip the model around to you as a brand. We believe data is at the core. So the source of data will be the customer. And yes, they will create a data profiler of themselves. We will enable them in the future to also pull their own first-party data into the platform, because we do understand that when people tell or answer surveys about themselves, they're not always truthful, and sometimes the transaction data tells a different story. So we'll educate our customers about that and say, let us bring in your Spotify feed. Let us bring in the insights from your credit card transactions into a safe place, protected, where even Profiler cannot access that data. We're using very cool technology. We will be implementing it this year, multi-party computation, which makes sure that that data is safe. And it's in one place for many brands to be able to benefit from the insights. But secondly, that significant cost of record management reduction. If you look at all the people in the company that manage these data sets, the risk behind managing that data set The cost of record from IT, from hosting, from infrastructure, from licenses is significant, and it's repeated brand after brand after brand. So if you're looking at taking out costs, then look at the manufacturing industry, which moved to a just-in-time process where parts and components are delivered to your factory to assemble the product. You do not need to sit on 10 or 20 or 30 years of customer data to know who your customer is. That is a risk. Thirdly, there is a significant reduction on your breach risk. If the data is distributed and sitting with the customer, and in Profila, we'll be able to store the data in geographical regions protected by local laws. And in the future, by the end of this year, we'll also offer our customers, your customers, to be able to host it on decentralized infrastructure or even on their own hard drives or on their own phone. Because we don't need to have all the data in one place to understand the insights of the data and to be able to react to it. And that is also a game changer. So that next point, 0.0% surveillance, that was the root cause for Profila. There is no surveillance in this platform. You do not need to track your customer to know what they want and when they want it. We have to change the dynamic of how brands actually get to know customers. We always reference the physical world. You would not walk out the store and follow a customer who just left the store. So why are we allowing it online? It makes no sense. If you build a product and a service that the customer wants, they will buy it. If not, understand what you did wrong through clear customer engagement. And that is what we'll offer you on the platform. And also, we want to eliminate these nudging algorithms. If you have children or teenagers, you understand the addiction that is going on around the world. And it is partly brands' fault because we feel the need as brands to force our content in front of people, even if it's good content, but it is continuous and it is unending. That is not how people are meant to engage with brands. We're meant to engage when we want something, we desire something, or we need something. But we also need to have mindfulness so that we can live a life and enjoy your product and not be sucked back to just viewing, scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So that's something which is very close to our heart, that we believe any conscious brand out there that cares for their customers will see that they have to make a change and stop supporting these systems and these tools and these platforms that are built around those mechanisms. Finally, customer loyalty is everything. If a product is purchased, then you owe that customer loyalty. That can be done on Profila. Our next evolution of the platform is to include customer support so that you can have conversations in a private place, taking away that burden and even triaging the first 3 levels of customer support for your brand, because most questions are the same. I'm happy or I'm not. What about? And then take it to the next step and triage. But this is all controlled by your customer. And we have the capability now to do that. And your customers are aware of how to do this. So don't be afraid of empowering your customer is the message. And Profila is the platform. So how does it actually work? There are 4 steps that we want you to consider. Is invite your customers to a new platform. And yes, it is a leap of faith, but it is the same thing as empowering your customer and telling them, we trust that if you really like us as a customer, as a brand, that you will come back to us and tell us what you want and tell us how you want us as a brand to service you. And second is captivate them. So you don't always need to know all the details about the customer to be able to show them who you are as a company. And at this stage, the customer is totally anonymous on the platform, but you can be building a brand reputation. And thirdly, on Profila, we encourage you to listen, because we will be incentivizing the customer to complete self-assessment surveys for every industry, asking questions in a different way. So do I need this product? Do I like this product? And then once you have access through data subscriptions, that actual product, then you can benefit and create a great ad campaign. We believe that this will be a totally new way for you to be able to engage with your customers. After that, we want to show you how we protect you. So the technology on Profila, we believe, is inspired. And all of this can only work if you as a brand and our customers and your customers trust that their data is sovereign and it is looked after. So in Profila, we've deployed Web3 technologies and privacy-preserving technologies. To simplify it, digital identities are linked to every customer and every brand so that the brand knows this is a real customer and the customer knows that this is a real brand I'm talking to, not a fake one sending me fake ads from a company that can't even deliver a product potentially to my market. So digital identity will become a theme, and most of our customers will be KYC'd, and we'll tag them so that you know as a brand that they are real people. So we've got a method and approach to also get out any bots, and unlike social media, you won't have fake accounts and millions of fake AI accounts to worry about in the future that may be viewing your content. Second and thirdly, we're deploying very smart Web3 blockchain technologies in smart contracts. So as you access the data, you as a brand will be fully legally compliant because you've asked for a data set and you've been given consent. And we track that on a public chain so that you can take it to the regulator and say, I'm fully compliant when it comes to my accessing data directly from my customer. The customer has a simple process, and this is an opt-in. Either they get paid out in cash or in a crypto, which is the zero knowledge token on Profila. But it is an easier method for compensation of low value but high volume transactions, which this will be. So you are looked after as far as your data relationship. And then the attention smart contract cuts out fraud. So we have a way through a zero knowledge advertising protocol that we've designed and we'll also implement in 25, 26, that will be able to prove to the brands that the customer asked to see certain types of content, and we'll prove that they looked at it and they clicked through it so that we can avoid any ad fraud at all. And then because the individual gets compensated every time they look at a piece of content, we have to have this traceability in the platform. So we're getting closer to that magic milestone of return on ad spend, because if you put $1 in and you can prove that that was looked at and the engagement was there and the click-through happened, and eventually, as showed earlier, you can convert to a sale, then we're having an ecosystem under your customer's control that you as a brand will fully benefit from. Then you'll know that your marketing is really worth it. And finally, the rewards. Profila takes care of this. In the future, we'll allow brands to also add rewards to incentivize their customers to build and share better quality data. And this goes across industries. So we've done work in luxury, leisure, and travel, automotive, but also in healthcare and in clinical trials, where people will be able to share data with a doctor, with a research institution, if they so want to. And that's value in exchange for data. And that's how Profila is designed. But we will take care of building this habit of individuals to build a quality profile so that you as a brand can benefit from this. So again, instead of tracking continuously, build a relationship with customers en masse who can give you these insights voluntarily is a totally different dynamic. So yes, we believe that Profila is a revolution in customer relationships. Easy to say, but hard to deliver on. That's why we've spent 7 years in R&D. We've spoken to thousands and thousands of brands and customers, and we've done a lot of homework, 10 or 12 grants to be able to understand how to protect the data and the privacy, not only from the Swiss government on AI privacy management, but also from the Cardano community and our Web3 colleagues to be able to understand how we protect data fundamentally. But I'd like everyone who's watching and from a brand to again consider acquisition is sexy, it is very important, but retention, interest, conversion, and being able to keep a customer happy for the life cycle and improving customer lifetime value is the best metric for a brand. And that's what we want to help you to be able to achieve. So I hope that quick snapshot of what Profila has to offer as a new brand platform is useful. And as a summary, we've got a platform which we can trial. We've done beta trials last year, and we're opening ourselves up from February and March forward to start enterprise trials. So 2025 is where we understand scaling. We have people in our team who can do this confidently to hundreds of millions of customers. So we're not shy of scale, but we've taken our time to ensure that the customer process is at the core, because this platform is built primarily for people, so that they can select and choose, who do I want a relationship with and where do I go to maintain many relationships. And for brands, we take away a huge amount of cost, risk, and complexity, and we give you back a customer who shares data willingly and gives attention willingly in a digital world. So thank you, and we'll speak to you again next time on one of the Profila spaces.